Hello there, it's just me, your old buddy Grizzly Jim, and today I'm here with a very special guest. We have Susan Corless, who is another MYBO pro shooter. We're just going to chat some nonsense about archery and shoot the breeze and see what comes up. So, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. That's it. And join us next week. I'm leaning on the desk. And a guy was giving me crap in the comment section about leaning on the desk.
Really?
Yeah.
Got to sit up straight properly.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm a maverick.
It's your desk.
It's my desk. I'll sit on it however I please. So, Susan, not Sue, because I was informed if I was to call you Sue or Susie, I'd be dead, and I don't want to get in trouble. So, Susan, tell us a little bit about you. First off, a real basic question just to get us rolling. How did you get into archery?
So it was actually one of my friend's faults.
Always is.
Always is. So one of my friends had been to a county fair and there was a have-a-go there. So Northampton Archery Club are there getting people to try archery. He did that and they said to him, next weekend, if you come to the club, you can pay £5 and you can have a taster for an hour. So he told me about it and I was like, well, I don't have anything to do. Can I come with you? Off we went. We did it. We had a great time.
You did it.
We both did a beginner's course then. And I joined and he didn't. And here we are.
And that was how many? That was
2011.
2011. So how many, do the maths?
13 years.
13 years. And the interesting thing, in 13 years, you've gone from a rank amateur, beginner, never tried it before, to someone who represents Great Britain on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, how many years? How many years did we say? 13 years. 13
Unlucky
years.
for some.
Well, it'll be 14 next year, so you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like, what was the process? How have you gone from this kind of, let's have a go, local archery club? How have you gone from that all the way to the legend that is Susan Corless now?
So within the club, there was quite a culture of competitions when I first joined there. And there was
going to competitions?
Going to competitions. Okay. So not just within the club, but actually locally within the county. And the county had like a series that they ran. So it kind of encouraged you to go out and compete as part of a series. And I mean, I wasn't shooting that high poundage on a recurve. I mean, at my highest, I was shooting 28 pounds, and I've got a really narrow and short face.
I think you've got a lovely face.
Thanks.
It's.
But what it meant is to get 70 metres, I had to. My sight pin was on top of the boss.
Oh yeah,
it was a long way.
That can cause
some problems. But we found a way. So I went out and I did competitions, and I enjoyed it. So kind of already had that culture to compete. And then my body said, stop, you're hurting me too much. And it was taking me a week to recover from shooting to then be able to shoot again.
So is there an issue? What is there a physical issue, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, not at all. So I had a car accident when I was 15.
Oh wow.
Really low impacts. Bottom of my spine's been impacted.
Yeah.
And what that means is my muscles that run all the way up the spine into my neck and shoulders are in spasm all of the time. So I'm in pain 24/7.
Does that cause an issue with stability when you're shooting?
It does.
I can imagine if you kind of...
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to have stopped you much though. That's.
I think you work with what you've got. You
can't.
And actually, ironically, I don't think I ever would have tried archery.
Yeah.
If that hadn't have happened, because I still would have been running, I would have been doing the other sports.
So you was looking for something that was a little bit more low impact?
Yeah, I tried everything, everything that I could possibly try from a sports perspective that was kind of front of mind, and I just had to stop everything because it just hurt too much.
Yeah. How frustrating.
Yeah, very. But then I found archery.
Archery finds a way. I think this has come up with most of the sort of interviews we've had. And there's no barrier in archery.
No,
I use Matt Stutzman as a great example because you got no arms, but you still shoot. I think that's one of the many reasons why I do love archery, because there's no excuses. I mean, I'm struggling at the moment. I've hurt my shoulder, So I'm taking a little bit of a break from archery. So I've got to live vicariously through other people at the moment, but I'll get back to it and just got to give myself a little bit of a
and that's okay. Like sometimes you have to do that.
I think taking a break is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
No.
But that's amazing that sort of that worked out for you. And I mean, it's good that you found a good club that promotes competition and gets you out there, because that's what spreads the sport. I think it puts it out there, puts you in the right mindset. Personally, I've not been that competitive. I struggle being competitive.
I think that's okay though, and I think that's the nice thing about archery is if you don't want to compete, you don't have to.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm too competitive. I try to. I get in my own head. My mental game in archery is weak, but when I'm out in the woods, it doesn't really matter, because that's the sort of thing I do. But the sort of archery you're focused on, you kind of need that kind of little bit of. So speaking of that, what sort of archery is your go-to? What are you shooting? Like you field, target?
Right now it's field. So when did I first shoot unmarked? And I was terrified, absolutely terrified.
I can imagine.
It's like a year and a half ago, roughly.
If you've never had to judge distances, it would be.
It's like it was magic.
Horrific.
I don't know what this is. What do you mean you've got to guess where it is?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I shoot. If I do shoot, it's all unmarked. I use 3D and whatnot. And I'm terrible at judging distances.
So you ground measure for that then?
No, but if I can see it, I can shoot it. I can bullseye something that's 15 meters away. I won't know that it's 15 meters away, but I can kind of work out how.
That's really clever.
It's a real subconscious thing for me. And when we went to France for the World Championships, they were all taking the mickey out of me because they were like, "How far away is that?" I'm like, 6 meters. It's 20. I got no concept of distance, but if I can see it, I can shoot it.
Yeah. But what archery unmarked is not. It's not guessing. It's actually measuring.
Yeah.
And it's
too complicated for me.
I didn't realise, but it's like for me, like that's really comforting that actually I've just got to work out.
You can math it.
I've just got to hold my bow at the target and measure, and then subtract to add on.
Yeah, I think archery. I think different types of archery suit different types of people, and I've always said sort of like you've got sort of a math brain or a lizard brain.
Yeah, I'm
very lizard brained. I don't think. I never think. You can probably tell. You see my videos. I don't think about anything. But I just can't imagine how sort of. Okay, there's a distance there. How am I going to? Yeah. So, but that's amazing that you kind of just thought you'd give that a go and.
Yeah, and I think I was quite lucky when I made the switch from recurve to compound. I wasn't lucky. I was fortunate of the individual that helped me with that switch over. That I had someone there right at the start that actually taught me to shoot my release aid properly.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes
Who's that? You can give him a.
It was James Mason.
James Mason. He's a big lad, isn't he?
He is a big lad.
He's a big lad. He seems nice though. I've ever met James Mason. I don't think I have. I
haven't seen him for a while actually.
I've been at competitions and stuff, and I've seen him, but he seems friendly. He seems like a big friendly giant. But it's amazing that you can have someone in your archery life that kind of takes you under your wing, and it's invaluable, that kind of thing. So that's really nice, and I think that's a good thing about the community. Is archers on the whole just like helping other archers. I mean, some people go about it the wrong way, but for the most part, I think people are amazing and they just want to pass on knowledge and
and I'm a firm believer that we don't make the sport better, we don't grow the sport unless we share that knowledge, because you can't do that by yourself.
No,
you kind of need to share the information, discuss ideas, chew the fat type thing, and then actually it moves it forwards. And
it's a good opportunity because you never stop learning, do you? You always be like anyone that claims to know everything. No. Huge red flag, because there's never an opportunity not to learn something, even if it's just the tiniest little thing that you've never thought of. It's really good to kind of.
It is.
So obviously, you shoot at a high level, and that's going to require a fair bit of dedication. So how often are you at the range? How often are you putting in the hours? How often are you shooting?
There's a really careful balance for me.
Okay.
So physically.
Yeah, I suppose you still got to take it fairly.
Yeah, so for me, more often lower volume is better than, say, having 2 really intense days.
Yeah.
And it depends what's going on. So this week I'm actually off for the next week.
Okay.
So I work full time. I've just taken a week off.
Yeah.
So I was at the range last night for 3 hours and I was fiddling with my Revolution 34, trying to just slow down the movement of the pin. But I shot, I don't know how many arrows, and it's not really about volume for me anyway. It's about what my objectives are for that session.
Yeah.
I'll go
sort of quality over quantity.
Yeah, definitely. You know, sometimes I'll go to the range and go, right, today I am getting new sight marks for a new sight tape. If I do that quicker than I'd originally planned, I'm done. I'm happy. I'll go home.
You know.
And then some days
Achieved.
it doesn't go very well, and I go, do you know what? Today, this is not the day.
Not the day.
And it's okay just to go, do you know what? I'm going to go home.
I think that's a really important skill that I think not enough archers kind of utilise, is knowing when to walk away.
Yeah.
I think you can, when things aren't going well and you're pushing yourself a bit too hard and things aren't going right, I think you can ingrain some bad habits and,
I agree.
and bad feelings.
You reinforce the bad.
Yeah.
And that's often because me physically, I'm tired, or I've had a really busy week at work, or it's been stressful. So I'll go to the range, but actually I've still got all of those other things going on, or I'm absolutely shattered. Do you know what? It's not going to be a good session.
Yeah.
So what am I doing? I'm actually,
Just
for my self-care, I'm better off actually having some quiet time at home.
Yeah. I think it can
and
be.
I think it's perfectly fine. So yes, to answer the question, it depends what I've got going on. So this week I will shoot a lot because I've got time off. Last week, I don't know, maybe I shot 3 times, which was a bit lower than normal because I was in Holland at the weekend competing.
Oh wow.
So what I would normally do is I would shoot the day before I travel, but rest day probably the 2 days before that, and then I will have shot like 3 or 4 days each day before that.
Okay.
So I tend to give my muscles some time to recover.
Yeah.
And then do like a maintenance session, which might just be for an hour.
Yeah.
Which then means that I'm as fresh as I can be for
Is
that
that
event.
Maintenance on you, or you're like
Me.
just getting on
maintenance
the band
and to make sure that my sight tape's still good.
See, sight tapes. When I was a kid, you had a little book and you had your little sight marks in there. Now you guys just go and print off a sight tape
But
and
it's not
stick
as
it on.
easy as that. Well, it can be. It all depends how pickety you are about your sight tape.
Explain what sight tape and how that works. The technology involved in that. I find it fascinating. I mean, I don't.
It's
use a
super
sight,
clever because it means that you don't have to go out and get 5 metre increment sight marks because that's just boring, right?
Yeah.
So a sight tape is effectively a scale that is customised to you, that goes on your sight. That means that when you're shooting multiple distances, you don't have to have a separate record of where your sight mark is.
Yeah.
You've got the scale on the side of your sight.
There.
You could, if you wanted to, just go and get a short range, a mid range, and a long range, and just let one of the platforms do the rest for you. So I use Archer's Advantage.
Is it AI that does it, or is it just an algorithm?
No, it's a calculation.
Yeah.
But there's some settings that you can change to tweak it. So often my mid ranges are not perfect.
Okay.
So you can adjust like the peep height setting that's in there. Wow. It's very clever.
It sounds very clever. It sounds very complicated.
Yeah.
So you can see why I shoot a bit stick, right?
Okay.
It just makes life a lot easier. but each to their own. There's nothing wrong with it.
So whenever you change something on your bow, so
Yeah.
I changed my D-loop length literally 3 days before I went to Holland. It's like, what am I doing? But it wasn't right. So my anchor wasn't quite right, and I was like, I need it to be right.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, actually,
did it work?
all I've got to do is I've got to redo my sight tape.
Yeah.
So, and it worked. It was the right thing to do.
Did you win?
I came second.
Hey, that's not bad. Silver medal.
Yeah. Well, it was a box of fruit.
You won a box of fruit?
Yeah, so no medals, boxes of fruit.
Were you allowed to bring that back, or did you have to eat it all there?
Well, it was in the back of the car. So
no one checked?
No one checked.
You might be on some watch list now for fruit smuggling. Can you bring fruit back from?
I think fruit is allowed.
Fruit's
I think
allowed.
It's dairy and meat that is not certainly going over to France.
Yeah. So you went through France, presumably?
I did. France, Belgium, and then into the Netherlands.
How long did that take?
Wow, going there was horrific. So I landed. I got to the port of Dunkirk, and then it took me 4 hours on the Friday to get to just north of Eindhoven. But coming back was rapid.
Yeah.
Europe was empty, but the football was on.
There you go. That'll be.
So that was a win. I got to Calais for the tunnel coming back Sunday night, and there was less than 15 cars there. Never seen it so quiet. I'm like, is there a problem?
Is there something going on? Is there something going on? I don't know. Are we at war? Shall I check the news?
Are you closed?
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I've never driven that far. Have I?
No,
I have. I have driven to the Netherlands.
I did 709 miles all in that weekend.
Netherlands. See, I used to go to an event, usually in Germany, but there was a load of guys from the Netherlands there. And I'm one of those people that picks up accents off people. So towards the end of the thing, I was talking.
Were you sounding a bit German?
Yeah, hello. I'm from the Netherlands. You being sort of a competitive archer that gets about, get about, do I could rephrase that, couldn't I? You being the competitive archer that sort of puts herself out there. No, that's worse.
No.
You being a competitive archer who is always competing, is that better?
That's better.
What's your motivation? Like what makes you shoot? Why are you shooting? Are you shooting to win? Are you shooting because you like shooting, or what's the?
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
So I like to what I do in life. I like to do well. I don't like some people like to do little bits of lots of things.
Yeah.
I like to do one thing and do it really well.
Yeah.
Put the effort in, put the time in. I shoot because I enjoy it. I shoot because it's completely different from what I do at work.
Yeah.
I can spend a weekend in the woods listening to the birds. Like, who does not want to do that?
What do they call it? Forest bathing? Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Have you heard of that? It's like I like being like.
But that, or on a
That's my happy
target
place.
field, it's you're out in perhaps the sunshine. Certainly today, it's sunny.
Yeah, actually, I'm taking who thought wearing flannel was a good? I'm taking this off. It's too warm. I'm sorry. Please, just it's stuck on my massive forearms. There we go. Flannel in the summer is a stupid idea. It's just I'm a parody of what I used to be.
Of course, I love to win, of course, but it's
No,
not always.
I don't think anybody doesn't like winning.
It's not always pragmatic to win an event. It depends who's there.
Yeah.
So I hold some pretty cool titles at the moment. So
Tell us.
British field champion.
British
which
field
I'm
champion.
really happy about. EFAA national champion.
National champion.
And
there's another one. There's that many. She's forgotten.
what's the third thing?
Lewis, do you know?
Oh, what was the third thing? Why don't you know?
Indoors, outdoors.
No, but I have one. Oh, yeah. So that's it. So I'm British field champion, current EFAA national champion. I have held both the British field championship title, the British outdoor title, and I've held the British indoor title, not at the current time, just a caveat.
Just showing off.
Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool. That's more than I have, so I can respect that. But no, that's quite a resume of archery there in 13 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, what? Like, obviously, you mentioned it before, so maybe we know the answer to this. But do you do anything else other than archery? Is archery just your complete focus, or do you need something to take your mind off archery a little bit?
That's what work is. No, I don't. So I work full time, but I have quite hard lines between work and personal, and I think that's really important. So, you know, obviously above and beyond where it's needed, but you know, once it gets to 5:30 and everything's kind of wrapped up, I'm logging off and I'm doing whatever.
Heading down the range.
Down the range in the sunshine.
It's almost too nice to be sat in a studio talking about archery.
Well, I'm going to go and shoot after this.
When we could be outside shooting. Maybe we should do some interviews outside while we're shooting. When I can shoot again, obviously. But yeah,
You could shoot a jelly bow, surely.
Yeah, well, I'm borrowing a bow today, actually, a little light poundage bow. No, I'm a little bit compound curious.
Have you tried one?
Have I tried? Clearly, you don't know who I am.
I don't.
I was like junior compound champion in like 1994 or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was handicap adjusted. So.
Is that because you just started?
Well, it was in the 90s, obviously, early 90s. And like kids, they didn't like kids shooting compound bows. I was a junior, and they didn't like it. And there was.
That's like when you've shot when you do a beginner's course, you must shoot recurve.
Yeah, I did a video on that actually.
I saw.
Yeah, it was a very good video.
I quite like that.
But yeah, I think there was like 8 of us in the junior competition, like across the country.
National.
Yeah, it just wasn't a thing really. And I shot this horrible Browning compound bow, tiny little wheels, really there was no back wall.
Little wheels like these ones?
Yeah, just like that. And there was no back wall or anything. It was just, it was almost like a recurve. It was horrible.
Yeah.
With a big gold Fletcher, Jim Fletcher release aid. Yeah, it was terrible. So yeah, handicap adjusted. But yeah, I did used to shoot compound, and I do enjoy compound. And
it'd be kinder on your shoulder.
It would be kinder on my shoulder. And I am the new Revolution, the 34. I'm thinking about getting one of those and setting up as a field bow, so like pin sights, a short stabilizer. Thinking compound curious.
Yeah, give it a go. You might as well. I mean, you work for Merlin, so
might as well. And I can get away with anything here. I'll just take one. No one will say anything. There's one down there. I'll just take it. What are they going to do? I'll edit that out. For me, I know I'm interviewing you, but because I work in archery, I needed something other than archery to take my. So I do lots of things other than archery, but I need that to make archery interesting again. Because if not, it's just all archery all the time.
No, I can see that,
and it can get a bit.
I think it's really hard for people that. Well, it must be really hard for people that work in archery and are also archers.
Yeah.
You know, how do you get that? It's
a shame for Ben. Like I know he doesn't shoot anywhere near as much as he wants to. You just don't get the opportunity. And I'm sure.
We try and drag him out.
Lewis, you're a pretty competent archer. I bet since you've been working in the archery industry, you don't shoot as much.
It's dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah, it's. Even when I first started working for Merlin, Ben said you won't shoot as much. I was like, you don't know me. Nonsense. And it's true. You do kind of you go off it a bit, but we don't go off it. But yeah, I'll get back there. You know, maybe a compound one day. We'll see. So it sounds like you're a bit of an overachiever with all your accolades.
I don't think I've ever been described as an overachiever. Like my record of achievement from school was. Could do better. Was it one of those like burgundy? Yes.
Yeah, I was led to believe they were going to be a much bigger deal than I thought they were.
Never used it again.
Never used it.
Wasn't required for anything.
I shouldn't probably ask a lady, but how old are you?
What year is it? 24. 44.
Okay, so we're a similar age. You got a couple of years on me. No, you got a year on me.
Thanks.
I've just aged myself. I thought I was 42, but I'm not. I'm 43.
You realised the year.
COVID messed me up. I'm still in my 30s. I think.
Age is a number, right?
Yeah, it's just a number. But yeah, these national records of achievement, I thought they were going to be a massive deal, and
they're not.
They're not. But yeah, no. Going back to my previous point, you've achieved quite a lot. Yeah. I framed it as a negative, but it's actually very positive. Like, what's next? What's your future? What are you trying to get to? Like, what's the goal?
I don't know. Like, that's the honest answer. I had really clear goals of kind of what my next steps were when I was doing target and I was representing GB at that top tier level. Whereas now, actually, I don't have a big goal like that. You know, I've qualified for the World Championships from Canada.
Yeah.
I'm not going. It's a really expensive trip.
Yeah.
I kind of can't really justify to myself spending that money.
It's self-funded, is it?
All self-funded, yeah. All of our trips are self-funded.
Yeah.
And Canada's a really long way.
It is a lot. You can't drive to Canada.
No. So I'd love to go, but what I'm doing instead this year is doing 4 out of the 5 Nations events. So 5 Nations is a tournament. It's 5 events, funnily enough, in 5 nations.
What are the nations?
Oh dear. Germany, France, Holland.
If you don't get it right, you can't go.
Oh my God. Where haven't I been? Where's Fort Van Leer, Belgium?
Belgium.
And then the last one is...
I can't move. I've got a funny thing with my
There
finger.
are 2, Trier didn't do.
Can't go, I'm afraid.
Can't go. Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. You've saved it, you can go. We'll allow you.
So I've done 4 out of the 5 of them, and the reason I didn't do the second one is because it clashed with our British Field Championships, and I definitely wanted to go
You
to
wanted
that.
to do that one. How come we're not part of the 5 nations?
I don't know. Were we invited?
I don't know.
We're not technically part of the EU, are we?
No, not economically. Geographically.
Geographically.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people would... It's a long way, isn't it, from Europe into the UK?
But it's a long
So
way
they had
from...
2 this week, the weekend just gone. They had 2 courses.
Yeah. That's the thing, like where would you hold it? Like,
Yeah, it would be Avalon, Overton, probably be the biggest 2.
yeah. Like we are lacking, I think, in facilities for stuff.
I'm not sure it's facilities, I think it's more the volunteers. So in order to put out a course, there's a lot of effort that goes into that, and maintaining it and running an event. You can't do that on a shoestring. No,
you've got to... It's just, I know, I've probably shot more in Europe than I have over here, and they do seem to nail it.
Yeah.
The courses over there are just out of this world.
There too was fantastic. That was really very slopey.
Yeah.
I did some crazy cuts over there.
The cut, that's... The cut, that is that where you...
Cut the distance.
Yeah, but you judge the distance and then you change it based on the elevation.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning stuff.
Yeah.
I'm learning stuff all the time.
Yeah, so if it's down there, you need to take some distance off your sight mark.
So downhill...
You cut from both. Uphill is you cut as well, but not as much because of gravity or some reason I don't understand.
The Coriolis effect of the Earth.
Probably.
I
don't know. I'm just doing what I'm told, so
I
didn't need to understand everything, right?
No. Understand, like, ignorance is bliss. Understanding
Sometimes.
everything's boring. It's nice to have some childlike wonder sometimes. But so yeah, So what is that? The 5 nations, is that something you can just win overall? Is there like an overall winner?
So you have event placing, and then you get the series placings.
Yeah. So you can't win it all because you can.
So they count your best 3 go towards the final ranking. So I can.
How's it looking?
I don't know, because currently they've missed me off the first set of results. Well, I'm on the results, but not in the ranking. I think I'm probably 2nd currently. So Lena, another pro staff member, she shot awesome. Weekend just gone.
We're gonna have to get her in.
I think so. I think we should.
She nice?
She's lovely. Reggie's lovely as well.
Yeah, we'll get them all. Get them all eventually.
They're coming over in December.
Are they?
Yeah.
We'll get them. Won't be as warm in here then. It's warm today, isn't it?
It's nice.
You can tell it's warm because I've had to shed the plaid. That doesn't happen very often. You've got it together when you're shooting, because you shoot at a phenomenal level. I'm all very proud of you. But do you, as an archer, like, do you get nerves? Like, do you...
Yeah.
Like, how do they affect you?
Yeah, absolutely. And nerves is a really weird word. So there's nerves and then there's adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I think they're two different things.
Yeah.
So you get adrenaline. I'd never experienced adrenaline before, like in archery, like until I started competing, until I started doing head-to-head matches.
Yeah.
And
So they weren't a thing when I was a kid.
I thought it was nerves.
Yeah.
But then I realised it wasn't. It was the adrenaline. It was just pumping through me, and then like my knees were shaking, and it wasn't nerves. It was adrenaline. I didn't know what to do with it.
But you can use that. You can channel that.
And I haven't actually had that feeling for quite a long time, which is really good. Represented GB at the European Field Champs, which was in Italy.
Yeah.
And I'd never shot a field head-to-head match before.
Okay.
Because we don't do them in the UK. We just shoot field rounds.
Yeah.
And it's like a pool. It was a pool system. So effectively, it means you're shooting against people that are at a really similar level to you.
Okay.
So, like, either one of you is as likely to win than the other one.
Skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah. And I was nervous for that because I kind of wanted to win the first one.
Obviously.
And I did.
Yeah.
And and I held that together really well, but I felt nervous, like I was unsure whether I was going to win it, even though I really wanted to.
Yeah. And did you win the whole thing?
No, I didn't.
No.
There were some very experienced field archers there.
Never mind. But you're experienced now. You're like,
I am.
You're up there. One of the top guns, best of the best.
Got some learning to do, but learning
Good
doesn't
answer.
stop.
That was a test, and you passed because there's always learning. There's always something to be learned.
Towards the end of last year, in the morning, full draw, my hand is shaking, my head is shaking. I'm like, what's going on? Like, that's not nerves. Like, it's not. Why have I got tremors?
Oh.
And I was like, oh, well, I've obviously, something's moved in my setup, or I've changed something and I've got something in the wrong place. Maybe it's a nerve. But then it would only ever be in the morning. And I'm like, well, that's clearly a me body thing. That can't be a kit thing if it's only in the morning. So I went through this painful process of trying to understand what it was. And then I realised that it was food related.
Oh.
So, and specific. So then I was fairly sure it was blood sugar levels.
Okay.
So I managed to get a free trial on a what's it that goes on the
the
ground.
thing.
So like a monitor thing.
Yeah.
And I monitored what was happening for 2 weeks, and it was so insightful.
What was it?
Blood sugars just dropping
you
low.
just needed to...
Just dropping low. So I'd have my breakfast and you get a spike, but not like a normal spike that you would normally get. Through the night, they drop really low. And then it's a really short-term benefit that I was getting from breakfast.
Okay.
So by the time I get to an event, my body's got nothing left.
Did you need a second breakfast?
Second breakfast.
Are you a hobbit?
Yeah,
She's a hobbit. Second breakfast.
Second breakfast, but then that doesn't last very long. So you kind of have to go,
Third
right,
breakfast.
well, what else am I going to eat? And just continue eating.
You've got to like graze.
Well, yeah, but grazing the right things. So then what I learned, I started to not really feel that well. And I feel a bit silly saying this, but I don't mind. I didn't realise that all food is not the same.
Yeah.
Let me explain what I mean by that. So I was just eating what I liked rather than what my body actually needed.
Ah.
So I was actually giving my body too much protein, and it didn't know what to do with it.
Ah.
And as a result, I was kind of quite edgy, quite confused, just not really feeling my best.
That's probably our problem, Lewis. Too much protein.
But protein is like, you need protein,
Yeah.
but I need protein at the end of the day.
Bedtime protein.
Bedtime protein, dinner time protein. And then I need carbohydrates the whole morning.
Like,
The whole morning.
what would you eat in the morning? What's your kind
Well, so breakfast, I have granola with orange juice.
Very healthy.
Ticks the box. And then I'm substituting food free with carbohydrate powder
Okay.
by Sport and Science, or Science and Sport, whichever way it is. You should spend some time working out what it is that you need outside of what you would normally eat. Like, it's hard to explain, but I know
It makes perfect sense, actually, when you think about it. That's pretty basic,
like I've
really.
seen in the morning at events, And there's nothing wrong with eating sweets, like we all like sweets, but from a performance perspective, if you're at a competition because you want to perform, having sweets in the morning, just after breakfast, is not going to help you.
It's not going to help you.
You're going to get a spike and then you're going to crash. So you either carry on eating them, or perhaps
Challenge accepted.
or you perhaps have something that's going to fulfill you for a little bit longer.
So I'm...
And I don't have any glycogen stores, you know, and that's because I'm so small.
You're saying I do?
You probably have.
Are you saying I've got big glycogen stores? Is that...
But you have more than what I have.
I'm very self-conscious about my glycogen stores, actually.
Yeah, but the point is, you can probably get away with just having breakfast, and what your body has stored.
I'm really bad.
Will get you to
I
lunchtime.
don't always eat breakfast.
But that's my point, because you've got the stores.
Coffee's breakfast, right? That's
Well, not for me, it's not.
Eat the coffee grounds. It's like a chewable energy snack.
I'll just be like this.
So I don't think coffee works on me anymore. I think that's the trouble.
Too much coffee.
So I've become desensitized to coffee.
Being at home as a teenager, and I would never eat breakfast, and I was like a bear with a sore head.
Maybe I should eat
But
more
my
breakfast.
body's changed, so there's been a distinct change in, for whatever reason, my body now needs more carbohydrates than what it's ever needed.
Well, we're getting on a bit now.
So we're getting on
aren't
a bit.
We're getting on a bit.
It's age.
We're grown-ups now.
So it's a watch out for people, I guess, the younger
Yeah.
the younger of archers that are out there probably just get away with it.
I remember being young. Now I can feel my bones rubbing together. It's but
We'll make a compounder out of you, yeah.
you reckon? Yeah. I dressed up as a compounder at one of the indoor shoots when I was.
What do they wear?
I just wore a shooting shirt and a hat, and I just looked like a compound archer. I think it was a Matthews hat at the time, and a Merlin shirt. I just walked around, and people I could just seem like that.
I didn't know we had a look.
Yeah, you have a look.
We have a look.
Compound archers
I
have
wear
a
a
look.
hat.
You can tell. But I could infiltrate. I reckon I could be quite good again. I reckon I could be up there.
I think so.
But I'm a trad guy.
Yeah, but you're broken, so.
I am broken in so many ways. But I'll get back there. I shall get the bow again. I shall get back to what I do best, I think. What poundage do you shoot?
So I shoot 45-pound peak weight, and I
Yeah.
hold roughly 11 pounds.
So if you didn't know, I'm sure you should know by now, but when you shoot a compound bow, for those who don't know, if you do, I'm sorry, sucking eggs and whatnot, but a compound bow, where a normal bow, you pull it back, the further you pull it back, the higher the poundage. With a compound bow, it starts heavy and then gets lighter. So you have a peak weight, which is the heaviest it's going to be, and then a holding weight, which is the lightest.
Yeah.
Is that? So yeah. So you are, where you're at full draw with a compound bow, you're not actually holding a great deal of weight.
Which makes shooting in the wind quite different to shooting. Yeah. That was the biggest thing that I noticed changing from recurve to compound was this is much harder with not, particularly in shooting 11 pounds as the holding weight, you're more affected by the wind. In some archers there's a stance that I need more poundage, and I don't believe poundage equals success.
I agree.
It has to be based on your capability and physically what is best for you. So, I've seen it time and time again that you might add 2 pounds on, but at your detriment.
I'm coming at it from a single string perspective, but I don't know an archer that hasn't improved by dropping poundage.
An archer that hasn't.
That has.
Right, I see what
hasn't.
you mean. Yeah.
You've got me confused now. I don't know an archer that hasn't improved.
What are you saying?
I don't know. I might have had a stroke. There are people that I know that have dropped poundage and improved.
Hey, that's what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Because I don't know if it's the same with compounds, but if you're at full draw and you're fighting the bow, you're not in control of the bow, so you're not in control of the shot.
I think it's the same for all disciplines. So for compound, that actually could be holding weight rather than peak weight. So I know for me physically, I definitely don't want to be over 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to cause problems in my neck and that's going to tense up, and you need to be able to turn your head right. Sometimes people do need a little bit more, and sometimes actually that makes the bell hold better.
It's a very personal thing at the end of the day,
thing,
isn't it?
And it's fine to increase, but my caveat and watch out would always be, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Are you doing it to improve performance of your bow, how it's feeling, how it's shooting? Physically, can you deal with that? Are you actually seeing an increase? If you're, I'd say I would test it and see, but if you're struggling, you're not seeing the improvement that you would want, go back.
Yeah, I think that's some solid advice there from Susan Corless.
But also to add to that is poundage does help. It's like a double-edged sword, right? So I think I said a little bit earlier that shooting a compound in the wind, like, that's much harder if you haven't got much holding weight.
Yeah.
So someone that's holding 15, 16, upwards of 20 pounds will be able to handle the wind probably better than someone that's holding 11, 12 pounds. So it does help, and also it'll be quicker. So your arrows will fly quicker.
Less
But speed
ballistic drop off.
But speed isn't everything. So it's
just means you miss quicker.
Yeah.
That's a defeatist attitude, isn't it? Just you miss quicker. But no, that makes sense. I mean, I agree. I think in a lot of cases, dropping a few pounds, especially on a trad bow, because there's a lot of macho kind of. It's got to be high poundage.
Yeah. And dare I say it, it's more. You see it more with the men.
It's true.
It's true though.
But you can't say that.
Well, I just did.
It's so controversial. But well, those have been some solid nuggets of information. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. I'm sorry it's been so warm.
Thank you for the invite.
Well, I can't open the window because of traffic noise, and I can't have the fan because the mics pick it up. So kudos for sitting through this warmth with me. I'm sweating buckets. I do apologise. But yeah, thank you for coming. It's been lovely having you here. And I wish you all the best for your what's next on the
Next? Next is Five Nations, which will be first weekend of August.
Where are you going?
Which is Fort Van Leer.
Where's that? Which
Leer's Belgium.
Belgium? Which
Got the country right.
Speak. Is it the French Belgium?
They speak everything.
Or is it the other Belgium?
My friends were teaching me words in Dutch at the weekend, and I can't remember any of them now. So I'm going to be in trouble when I see them next time.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. The Dutch are fine. But anyway, thank you for coming. And I'm sorry it's so warm. But I've been a Grizzly Jim. This has been the lovely
Susan Corless.
And yeah, well, you take care, shoot straight, and we'll see you on the internet. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
No, I have to say the last thing. So I'm like, take care, shoot straight, and I'll see you on the internet. And then you just stay quiet, because this is my show.